Everybody, JC here with another vlog video. So I wanted to make this video today. I know things have gotten out of whack this week. This is Friday. I usually try and do these vlog videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I actually haven't done any videos this week. It's been a pretty tough week overall for the fandom in general. Earlier this week, Stan Lee, the news broke that Stan Lee had passed away at age 95. And some of you had asked me if I was going to make a tribute video to Mr. Lee. But unfortunately this week also, for me personally, it's been a pretty hard week. If you caught my vlog video, maybe I did about a month ago with my cat, you know how close I was with my cat. And unfortunately this week on Wednesday, she passed away. Again, it's been a pretty hard week for me this week, just in general. But I did want to take some time and make a video, and not just for Mr. Lee, who obviously I didn't know it wasn't like he was a close personal friend of mine. I did get the chance to meet him, and I met him a couple times, but a lot of times it's just like at signing events and stuff like that at the conventions. But I did get to meet Mr. Lee kind of one-on-one. This was years ago, one of the first San Diego Comic-Con conventions that I attended for the websites covering the event. I'd say it was maybe 18 years ago, somewhere in that time frame. And at the time, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the San Diego Comic Convention Center, or the San Diego Convention Center where Comic-Con takes place. But basically there's a Marriott hotel that is essentially connected to the convention center. And back then, it was much easier to be able to get a room at that hotel. Nowadays it's near impossible, and if you do, it's like $1,000 a night, and I never stay at that hotel anymore. But back then I did, and it was just by happenstance, and I was going to the elevator in the hotel from my room, and I turned the corner to where the elevator is, and to my surprise, there was Stan Lee talking with another gentleman, a friend of his. I don't know who he was, but obviously it was somebody. It wasn't just like he was talking to a fan. It was somebody he knew, and they were having a conversation near the elevator. And I'm not one who normally I've interacted with celebrities over the years through the websites, doing interviews and stuff, but I'm not someone who generally goes chasing after celebrities, trying to get selfies with them or autographs. I gotta be 100% honest with you. I've never understood the appeal of people who stand in line hours just to get a picture with a celebrity, or even an autograph. It's just never something I've really kind of, it's not, let's say it's just never been my thing. I respect a number of celebrities, but to me they're just people doing a job, and a lot of times they're not even, we see them portray these characters, but in real life they're really kind of totally different people, which is totally cool. But to me, I guess the worship thing in most cases is not something I'm into. But with Mr. Lee, a little bit different. He's an icon in this hobby. He's created so many great characters, or helped create so many great characters and everything. I remember Saturday mornings, with the cartoons, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and even the X-Men, the original, not the 90s X-Men cartoon. No, he did, intros in there, I think, as well, but the one they did before, which was only like a one episode thing, where Wolverine sounded like an Australian. But I remember him doing the introduction in that cartoon and stuff like that. So he was always a part of the hobby. I'd read his Stan soapbox in the comics back then, back in the 80s and early 90s and stuff. And so he's just been an important part of the hobby. And then obviously in later years with the movies, he always make the cameos and everything. So I'm sure he's even more famous today, obviously, than even back then. Because back then, most of us just, it was just diehard comic fans and stuff who really knew who Stan Lee was. But in later years, with the movies and everything, I think a lot more people have come to know who he is. But he's this great icon. He's accomplished a lot of great things, and so at first, I saw him, I was like, oh, I'm not going to bother him. He's talking to somebody. I'm not going to be one of these guys that runs up and be like, hey, starts pestering him for a picture or autograph or something. And so at first I was just going to go about my business. But then I was like, you know what, this could be a once in a lifetime thing. And so I walked up to him, and I wasn't rude or anything, but I waited for him to kind of take a pause in his conversation, and I was like, excuse me, Mr. Lee, I hate to really bother you and everything, but would you be willing to do a picture? And I didn't at the time. I had my camera with me because I had it for work purposes. I think I was heading down to the convention center to start taking pictures of action figures and stuff, but and I didn't want to bother his friend. His friend had kind of stayed off to the side, and to my surprise, I mean, he was so welcoming and friendly and stuff. Sometimes you get these celebrities and they seem like these great people on camera and stuff, and then you see them in real life, or see them how they kind of maybe really are when they're not on camera, and they can be kind of dickheads. So but not Mr. Lee. He was like, talked to me for a few minutes. He didn't seem bothered in any way, and I didn't do selfies weren't nearly as popular back then. I just basically asked to take his picture, and he did let me do that. So, and I didn't ask him for an autograph, or I didn't have a pen with me, and I didn't want to get too pestering or such. So I took his picture there in the hotel. But he talked to me for a few minutes, and like I said, he was just a really, really nice guy. Now, since then, I've seen him, I've again, not like having close personal conversation. It's not like he said, "Oh, hey, Jay," it's not something like that. But I've seen him. I have gotten his autograph on multiple occasions, on multiple things. So, but yeah, I Stan Lee is just one of those people who I think is what he portrays himself when you see him in the public eye. So he will be sorely missed, and he'll always be. I mean, there's no such thing as immortality, but of the physical body. But he's created things, and he will be remembered for a very, very long time. And in that regard, he will always be there as an important part of this hobby of the comics and everything that surrounds that and everything. But again, for me, also I wanted to take some time because, like I said, my cat passed away. If you haven't seen my vlog video, her real name is Starbelly, but she developed a nickname, Mrs. Kookley, which is what I always called her, and that's kind of a long story. It started with her brother. We got them as kittens. She was 20 years old. She was 20 plus years old. She was born in June of 2008 or 1998, I should say. She was born in June of 1998. So she was over 20 years old, and she had such a bright spirit, but just her body finally gave out. She had been developing medical issues this past year. She really had, was getting more and more medical problems and stuff. And the final straw was we took her to the vet for something else, but discovered that some signs of cancer. And so at that point, it was I had to make one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life. Again, I raised her from a kitten. She's been with me for 20 plus years. I work out of the house, and so back there, that was her spot there. I don't know how well you can see, but back there on that recliner. She would always sit on the top of that recliner, and sorry. So yeah. So I will miss her so much, but like with Mr. Lee, I know she will always be with me. She's, watching over me. She's, and she's in a better place. Her sight, she really couldn't see anymore. And see, I think Mr. Lee is kind of in the same place. From everything I've heard and everything, he could barely see anymore. His wife passed away a few years ago. I think it was a few years ago, maybe it was a year ago, but fairly recently, and obviously there was other things in the media, and I don't know how, things like elder abuse and stuff, and even at one point where people were saying, his managers were holding him basically hostage or something, and I don't know how much truth to that type of stuff there was, but definitely I think, you get to a certain age or a certain point in life, and he was 95 years old. I mean, my cat was 20, and in cat years, that's really almost 100 years old, or in people years, that's almost 100 years old. So my cat was actually, I think, old technically, or I don't know technically, but in human years, she was really older than Stan Lee. So. I think for both of them, I think it was just a point where their spirits were obviously still strong, but their bodies just, basically gave out. The spirit was stronger than the body, and it was time for them to move on. And so, in that regard, I feel like this is in some ways a good thing for both of them. They're in better places, and Stan will be missed by the entire fandom. I know you guys don't know my cat personally, so but for me, I will always remember my cat. I'll have other animals. I've had lots of animals over the years, and I will obviously have more. I've always had cats. I really can't imagine living in a house without cats for a long period of time. I still have a dog, but at some point, I will probably get a new cat or new cats. But it'll never be the same thing. I'll never have the bond like I did with her. I don't think I'll ever have a bond like that with an animal. And so, but I just wanted to share my thought. I'm sure you guys noticed I hadn't done any videos this week on either channel or anything, and I will try. I mean, next week we're going into Thanksgiving and stuff, so I won't say we'll get back to a full regular schedule next week, but hopefully things I will get back on a little bit of a normal track. But I like I said, I don't know if you want to call this tribute video or what have you, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on this week and stuff. And so, thanks for listening. Basically, I'm just going to say thanks for listening today. I do appreciate it. And some of you guys, I talked about my cat a little bit on Facebook and stuff, and you guys have been, commenting and sharing your thoughts and condolences and everything. And I really do appreciate it. It's helped some just reading your guys' comments and stuff on there. So I really do appreciate that. And so that's where I'm going to leave it today. And so I'll just say until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.